I appreciate, actually, Jan Perry, what you've done today, because I've been sitting here being very frustrated, and I was actually going to vote no on this item because I have before me a motion that I introduced a year and a half ago, stating we were in a severe water crisis. We already knew that MWD was going to be cutting our water. It's one of the worst crises we've had in a long time. I mentioned all these issues a year and a half ago, and I said, 70% of all the water consumed is consumed outside the home for landscaping and pools. I called on the DWP a year and a half ago to begin to put into measures, whether it would be a rate restructuring or conservation measures, so that the people of Los Angeles knew that we were in a crisis. And that never happened. And so I have a problem with coming today and immediately saying this is about rate increases. This is about punishing people who are not conserving. This is about immediately saying we're in a crisis, you're going to pay more if you don't get below 50% of the threshold. Well, that's not the way I think we ought to be doing this. We got to be, our people are smart, our residents, our neighborhood councils. We have an MOU with neighborhood councils and DWP. We're smart. If we're educated, we can begin conserving. I asked several times on our day of water that we had, I said, shouldn't we right now be putting in mandatory conservation measures, like not watering on certain days of the week? I mentioned Long Beach that was doing that, not serving water in restaurants. That was like a year ago. And I got blank stares from everybody. Well, good idea, good idea, good idea. What happened today? This comes before. I got this information like yesterday afternoon. I was trying to figure it out. I was trying to read what Tier 1, Tier 2 thresholds, 50% low, who would get an increase, who wouldn't. And I thought, that's not how I wanted us to operate. I wanted us a year and a half ago, colleagues, I introduced this, saying, look out, we're going to be in a shortage. What are you going to do to educate people? I say put in all the possible conservation measures right now before you begin to hit people with a rate increase. Let's try it. Let's try it the other way first. And then I still think, colleagues, we ought to get rid of Tier 1 and Tier 2. I think people ought to pay for the water they use. And that would be, I think, a way for people to begin conserving. And there is an equity that's never been addressed. Certain people do have large homes. Certain people do have large pools. That's okay. That's your choice. But you ought to pay for the water you use, and those people who don't, pay for the water they use. I've asked for that, looking at that to restructure. I've gotten nothing back from you. And for you to say that right now you're going to be going out and outreaching to people when this kicks in June 1st is just an abomination. We're going back to the old ways of doing things. So I was going to vote no on this. I'm glad it's going back. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Mr. Garcetti.